And as promised, I have a guest. It doesn't happen often, but it's always a special guest. In this case, it's Lelia Hypnosis. Woo! Hello, how are you?
Hello.
It's been way too long.
I know.
I think we say this every time. It's been ages. Because there are usually a few gaps in between the times we get to talk. So, Lelia Hypnosis, let's first of all explain, that's not your real name.
That isn't, but
no.
But again, last time you mentioned that I should change my name to Lelia Hypnosis.
By default.
I have been contemplating this idea, but I don't think I will.
No, maybe not. Hello, Mrs. Hypnosis.
Hi,
yes, that
I'm the
could be quite
hypnosis
amusing.
lady.
But listen, I suppose we ought to explain exactly what it is you do for our first-time listener, for instance, that has never heard us talk about this before.
Right, so I am Lelia Baradaguzzi, and I am a clinical hypnotherapist and RTT therapist, and I treat all sorts of disorders, mental health issues, physical issues, migraines, and so on. And I know that hypnotherapy has this kind of mysterious image. People feel a little bit scared and worried, and it actually causes them to not ask more about what can I do, how can I heal myself with hypnotherapy. So I wanted to explain a little bit and take that fear away from any of you listeners, because it's actually an incredible way of relieving yourself. And actually, we go into a hypnotic trance every single day. So when you get to sleep, we go into different brain frequencies. So right now, we're in high beta, we're all energized, we're active, and our brain is functioning and we're working. And then throughout maybe not Dougie.
Maybe
He's
not
kind of
me.
like, I'm very relaxed. I am in my element.
Chilled.
I ain't doing nothing. But we go into different brain frequencies, and we naturally go into one of them. It's called theta, and that puts you into a very relaxed state just before you go into a deep sleep. So our bodies know how to relax themselves and to go into these beautiful, relaxing trances. So that's what I do. I, with my clients, bring them into a natural, calming, and very peaceful trance-like state. This is called theta. And as my client is laying there, they remember everything. You're completely aware of what's going on. That's another thing, with stage hypnosis that people think, oh, she's going to turn me into a chicken. Brilliant example. Or the one fall in love with a lamppost. It's always wonderful. I can't make you give me your car keys or anything like that. You remember everything about the session. And so then we are, because you're in this relaxed and peaceful and very open and serene state, we're a lot more aware and conscious of the things that we bury beneath us, emotionally speaking. So in childhood, there are different things that happen throughout our life. Life isn't always easy, and pain exists. That's part of it, right? And loss and grief and depression and so on. And so we do repress a lot of stuff because we feel that this is the way to cope. And so with hypnotherapy, it's not that we bring all this bad stuff up. We figure out, why do I have anxiety? Why am I addicted to alcohol? Why do I have road rage? And all of these issues that we can't pinpoint. Sometimes it's not obvious for why we have a certain issue or an obsession with sweets, right? But we can figure that out when you're in this relaxed state. You're a lot more open. And then we can also, because you're open, we can then redirect your thoughts into a healthy and balanced pattern. So we're basically reprogramming your mind. But it's not me manipulating a person's mind. It's the person, the client, you, the listener, who makes a choice. And what do you want from your life? I don't want to drink ever again. Okay, great. We're going to use that and figure out why you first started drinking. What is that need? Why is there that dependency? And then reprogram your mind with their words, with your words, dear listener. So it's actually a wonderful experience. I've never had a client leave a session and say, oh, that was rubbish. I feel so stressed right now. No, everyone is always even more relieved. And some of the issues that I work with, I have literally worked with so many different issues. But the biggest ones are looping negative thoughts, which a lot of us have. Recently has been a lot of grief. And parenting. So I think I brought this up last time in our interview that I had a lot of parents that came, and because the parent came to see me and had a hypnotherapy session, afterwards, their children it affected them positively.
Yeah, it's knock-on effect.
Yeah, because we don't allow certain things. If we have clearer boundaries and we don't get triggered as much, we're not as reactive with our children, and so our children respond much more positively towards us, and it just creates this beautiful connection and beautiful bond. And so that's another thing that I've been working on a lot with my clients. And weight, wow. It's weight reduction is big at the moment. I think also with January, everyone sets their positive intentions of, and I'm saying, as you may have noticed, I'm not saying losing weight. I'm saying reducing weight or discarding it. Because when we think of the word loss, it's a loss. Our friend, our brother, our sister, someone died. We lost our keys. It's a negative. But if you're trying to lose weight, you don't want that to be a negative. You want that to be a positive. So we need to change the way what words we use. So I've been reducing some weight. I've reduced fat, or any of these things. So wording and the words that we use in our vocabulary is so important. So it's not just that I give a session on hypnotherapy. It's a whole package of support throughout the month. The session, free hypnotic audio, personalized hypnotic audio, continuous WhatsApp service. So if you're about to have a panic attack or some difficult situation, you can either WhatsApp me or send me an audio or even a call. So it really is, I really want to give my clients the best outcome possible. And throughout that time that we spend together or that we communicate, I'm coaching you. It's not just the session that will give you that freedom. It's also everything else attached to that. We need to become a lot more aware of our thoughts and how we speak to ourselves and others. So I feel like that summarizes what I do.
Pretty much, yeah.
I feel like I've been speaking for a while now, Doug. It's your turn. It's your turn now.
Okay, so look, how long before you start seeing results?
So that really depends on each person, the amount of trauma or no trauma, and how receptive they are, their willingness, or how motivated you are. But I've had people, for example, I'm using alcohol because it is just something that a lot of us do. I don't drink, but okay. So I've had clients that the day that they came in for a session, they stopped drinking. So that's not always the case. Sometimes I need to do several sessions, and the first one isn't about removing the addiction to alcohol, but it's more what's underneath that, because there is something there with addiction. It's I don't feel good enough, I'm not worth it, anxiety, insecurity, lack of self-worth, blah, 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 blah. The list goes on, right? So we don't just drink for one reason, or we don't just do certain negative habits for one reason. There's loads of reasons. So then I will work on that one session and remove like the heaviness out of all of that. And then in the next one, we focus on, okay, now we're going to focus on not drinking alcohol, So I've had clients that respond very, very rapidly, and others that it might take 2 to 3 weeks. But you tend to notice a difference after a week. That's what I would say. Excuse me, I am hitting the microphone. So let me. Anyway, usually I would say about a week. Yeah, just to kind of give an approximate time frame.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Well, listen, we'll be back with more. And by the way, if you've got any questions you would like to ask Lelia, by all means do. You can get us on WhatsApp, 684 455 844. If it's something you're interested in, then bring it on.
BayRadio.fm.
It's Bay Radio International. This is Dougie for a Thursday afternoon. And my special guest today is Lelia Hypnosis. Hello.
Hello.
Now, where were we just a moment ago? Where did we get to?
I mean, I barely remember what I did a
I
second
know,
ago.
I'm the same.
An incredible question. I think I was explaining the setup of how I give hypnotherapy sessions, how long it takes. That's it. We gave an approximate time frame of how long it takes for you to notice a difference. However, I'd like to just clarify that if you have depression or you're grieving, grief is something that you can't accelerate that process. You can improve, right, your state of mind and how you're feeling. But if you've just lost someone, you shouldn't really rush that. And I tend to recommend that. So I always ask, like, how long has it been? And so on. But it depends on each different issue and mental health disorder or illness. So if you've got migraines, the migraines might stop instantly, or they might stop after a few days. But it never goes further than 3 weeks. So just thought I'd clarify that.
And talking of grief,
Yes.
Now, last time we spoke, you were going through it yourself.
Yes.
So. Do you manage to heal yourself when you're feeling particularly grief-stricken?
I think
you lost a very close friend, hadn't you?
I did. I have. It wasn't even that long ago, and I'm sure a lot of you knew him. I mean, everyone knew him. I don't know if it's okay for me to mention
in this area,
his name, but it was Paul Callow, and he was an incredible guy. But what I think the biggest thing for me was I'd never experienced that kind of grief before, right? So I feel it's my duty as a therapist that is treating other people for these issues to be able to feel that myself. So in the beginning, when this all happened, I thought, I'm taking this really well. This isn't normal that I'm dealing with this, because I was supporting, all our friends and family and so on. I was trying to anyway. I thought, this is a bit weird. I'm dealing with this way too well. Maybe I'm super healed. That must be the reason. And it wasn't. It was just a delayed response. Yeah. And then it hit me and I fell into quite a deep depression, actually. And I actually wanted to mention this because as therapists, I'm a human being and I am very flawed, but I am authentic enough to be able to say I'm a recovering addict and have had my ups and downs, and that makes me human. But, people have this expectation that a doctor or a therapist or a hypnotherapist, you aren't a doctor, right? But that we have this image of perfection. No, I grieve and I have my ups and downs and I've had relapses, and I'd like to just share that, because I feel we bond more and we're able to trust more when we have our therapist being that open, that vulnerable, and being able to say, do you know what, I was really bad in that time that I'd lost him. However, because of the amount of wisdom that I've gained and continuously studying about therapy and the mind and so on, I was able to find acceptance much quicker than I thought. And now I can look back at this person, at Paul, and I can have a laugh and not imagine him actually sitting next to me, but laughing. I can hear his laughter, and it brings me so much joy. Or when I'm painting a painting, then I hear a little comment or a cheeky little comment or something funny or a song. And before that, it used to, make me burst into tears. And I'm sure a lot of you listening will have experienced this. But we need to integrate the people that we lose, because it is just part of life. We live and we die, and we have to accept that. We can't run away from that. We can't cling on to the people we love most, especially our children, because then we're going to suffocate them and they're going to want to run away from us anyway. So I would love to share a poem that is actually from the series Afterlife from Ricky Gervais.
Oh, lovely.
But originally, the author of this poem is called Mary Elizabeth Fry. And I've posted this on Instagram, and it's just so beautiful. And when I heard this poem the first time, I obviously burst into tears. But I'll read it to you, so just have a little listen. Okay. Do not stand at my grave and weep. I'm not there, I do not sleep. I'm 1,000 winds that blow. I'm the diamond glints on snow. I'm the sunlight on ripened grain. I'm the gentle autumn rain. When you awaken in morning's hush, I am the swift uplifting rush of quiet birds in circled flight. I am the soft stars that shine at night. Do not stand at my grave and cry. I'm not there, I did not die.
Ooh, powerful
lovely?
Stuff.
Right?
Yeah, I remember that now in Afterlife, yeah. Remember, good series.
It's a great series. That got me through a lot of that,
yeah,
to be
well,
honest.
Will do.
So, yeah, I feel I've learned a lot, and I have a lot of acceptance, and I have so much more empathy and compassion for my clients. Now I can really feel what it feels like to be in so much pain. And I know what I can say and do and recommend actually having lived that, rather than just another person giving someone who's grieving a suggestion, but they don't actually know what they're feeling. So...
Okay. I've got a message here. It says, hi, Lelia. It says, are there any self-hypnosis techniques or practices that we can incorporate into our daily lives for personal development?
There are, actually. That's a really good question. So you can actually hypnotize yourself. I've got a lot of free hypnotic audios on my website. So go and have a look at that, and you can just download them. And on YouTube, Lelia Hypnosis. And there's loads on YouTube anyway, not just from me. But hypnotic... I think what you can do in the morning, because you're just awakening and you're still in a different brain frequency, you're not so high alert and you're thinking about all the debts and the problems and the stuff in your daily life. What you can do is immediately think of the things that fulfill you and start a gratitude list. That's very basic. What I've done on my mirror, for example, every week I change what I've written on my mirror. So my son is now a goalie in a football club and he loves it, but he gets stressed out and gets anxious. And so on the mirror, I have now put all the things that I know he would want to hear, or I ask him. So we're constantly, what you could do, dear listener, is constantly be aware of your thoughts. And that's really difficult to do. But anytime you have a negative thought, or you notice that you're spiraling and you need to stop yourself. And we can do that. We just think we're incapable because the thought keeps coming back. But we need to distract ourselves, redirect. We're like little puppies who constantly need to be distracted and brought back to this moment. Another recommendation is, and I'm sure you've heard it a million times, is being in the moment. And it does get a bit tiring to hear that. When I hear that, I'm like, okay, how do you do that? But what I mean is just be here. Don't have any music on, or listen to some calming, beautiful music, and just take a look around your living room, for example. Feel the sofa. If you're in a moment where you're feeling overwhelmed or something like that, you need to center yourself and ground yourself. Put both your feet on the floor and be kind to yourself. I think one of the biggest problems is that we speak to ourselves in a quite a negative way sometimes. Not everyone. I'm sure a lot of you are very positive and have a lot of self-confidence. But in moments of weakness, or in moments of when we have issues, we tend to allow these negative thoughts to run wild. And we just need to continuously be conscious of the thoughts that we have and the images that come up in your mind. So I would actually recommend that you start visualizing, even if it's just for a few seconds or a few minutes. Integrate that into your daily life, and you'll see how a lot of the things that you visualize are actually coming true. And because I believe in the law of attraction, the law of vibration, and so on, and it's not woo-woo, it genuinely is. I might have thought of you earlier today, and then I get a call from you. I'm like, oh my God, that's so weird. It's not weird. It's because I've attracted you with my energy. So that's what I would do. Daydream as much as you can, just not whilst driving or working.
Okay. Well, look, we'll take another break just quickly, and we'll be back for a little bit more in just a moment. But first of all, we've got our Sound of Spain from Sofia Reyes. That's coming up next.
BayRadio.fm.
It's BayRadio International, and today we're chatting with Lelia Hypnosis. How are you?
Hello.
How have you been?
I am dandy.
Yeah, what have you been up to, though, lately? Because you've been very busy. Because you're not just a hypnotherapist, you're an artist as well.
I know.
How on earth do you cram everything into your day?
I have no idea. And I'm a single parent.
Exactly.
It's mental.
Exactly. I almost forgot that part of it.
I
Good
know.
God.
However, my son is an angel, so he's easy to work with. Do you know what? I've been doing hypnotherapy sessions with passion, obviously, but I'm also an abstract artist, and so I've incorporated the whole conscious mind, subconscious healing into my art. So every painting has encrypted messages of positive intentions, all the things that I want for everyone around me, right? Because I want everyone to be at peace and happy, because then there would be harmony. But we know that's not possible. But I can do my best to inspire and help and guide as many people as I possibly can. And if I can do that with my creative side as well, I mean, then this is a jackpot. So I've actually been booked by a big American company, they do running gear for durable clothes, and I designed the last 2026 collection. So I will get back to you in 2026, and I hopefully give you some leggings and a jacket with my designs on them.
I love that.
So it's brilliant.
Sure, I could pull it off.
You could. You should see the colours. They're really bright as well.
Well, I've seen your work, and they are very bright. So,
they are.
And do you know what though? I can actually just see them on a sports brand.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, they are. It is very unique. That's a good thing, right? We have to be authentic and unique. And fortunately, I found that, because I actually used to be a really insecure person, and that's why I had all these addiction problems and anxieties and so on. And so it's actually very. It's just a wonderful feeling of peace that I have, that I can be my mad and quirky and hilarious self and integrate that into helping people on a therapeutic level, which is quite serious. It's serious work. I know when to be serious and when to make my jokes, obviously, but that I'm able to have two jobs, and both of them I love with a passion. I never thought that was possible as a child. So I hope all of you get the privilege to do something that really fulfills you, because work isn't really work. Yes, if I have a client, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna wake up and I have to put a suit on, but actually I love it. I love it. When they're there in front of me, I enjoy every single moment. So I'm really blessed. Anyway, this interview wasn't about how dandy my life is.
I'd like to ask you, now, there's bound to be somebody here that's going, right, I know exactly what I need to do. I need to get in contact with Lelia because I've got this, that, or the other anxiety, whatever. There's some hang-ups that I need to get rid of, or addiction even.
Yeah.
How can people get in touch with you?
So you can go to my website, leliahypnosis.com. I've got free hypnotic audios on there, or you can just go straight to booking and book a consultation call with me. You can contact me through WhatsApp. The number is on my website, social media, Instagram, Facebook. I think that's pretty much the main one.
In fact, you're everywhere.
I am everywhere. I make sure of it. You will never forget me.
Yes. Now, just very quickly, what are the things you get asked most about this?
What I get asked most is the question about am I in control? Am I going to be out of control? Will I remember this? And you will remember. If you have a hypnotherapy session with me anyway, I don't know how other hypnotherapists work, you will remember the entire session. You might go into a deep sleep, but because I make a hypnotic audio right at the end, when you go into that deep sleep, you'll hear everything that I say in that time because I'm recording it, right? Mm-hmm. So another question would be how quickly, we've already answered that one, how quickly does it work
remotely?
Yes, it works. That's the question. That's what I get asked the most. It does work remotely because I have a lot of clients internationally, someone in Peru and Canada and everywhere. So it works exactly the same. But if you're a person, some people don't trust doing it online because they prefer face-to-face, or they prefer just having that presence, I suppose. But yes, it works. The hypnotherapy sessions work exactly the same in person as they do online. I do my sessions through Zoom, and it's all very easy and very relaxed. I'm never going to bring my client. Let's say that you have PTSD, or you have had a trauma that you don't want to go back to, but you want to relieve yourself and heal yourself from this event. Mm-hmm. We don't need to go back to that awful event to be able to relieve you from it, right? There are loads. I know so many different techniques and different tricks and different things that we can use in the session to be able to redirect and reprogram what we feel about that trauma. right? So one of them could be you've had a car crash and it was quite serious, and now you don't want to drive on motorways anymore, or you don't want to drive at all anymore. So we don't have to go back to the crash, but we can go back to what belief you created about that event and then change that. So I adapt my sessions to every single person. That's why I always send them quite a detailed form to figure out, to not cause them any harm, right? My intention is, and I've never caused any of I've not had any client that has ever complained. I've only ever had positive feedback. And if there hasn't been, I've offered a free session. So, my intention is always pure. So if you do want to get in touch, you can just go directly to my website, because there's all my info on there on leliahypnosis.com.
Speaking of positive reactions to what you do, I have a WhatsApp here. And it says, "Hi, Dougie, I was a client of Lelia's, and I'd like to say how fantastic she is. I still use her personalised recordings now, and she sent me so many useful links and checks in with me regularly. Can she help someone dealing with grief, and how might she go about this?" We already covered the grief thing, but certainly that's something you do. It's James, referred to her by as Ollie.
James, you cheeky mix. Yes, oh bless. Yes, so with grief, it depending on when that loss was, I feel that it's important to have, a few weeks to give that person time to recover. And then it really depends on each person and how grief-stricken they are, or what their biggest concern is, or what their biggest issue is. I mean, we know that it's grief and it's the loss of that person. That's the biggest issue. But I mean, how does that affect you in your day-to-day life? So I would really not be able to give you a clear answer on that, because I would adapt that to each individual person. However, as you now know that I've experienced this as well, I know that I can sense what a person needs when I speak to them, and I try and adapt each talk and each hypnotherapy session to their needs. So no session is the same. But thank you for that, dear James. I really appreciate it.
Well, you got lots of fans. We know this.
That's true.
Anyway, look, it's been great talking to you.
Thank you.
Anything else you need to add before we sign off?
No, I just want to say I'm proud of myself, because usually I would do about 1 million different accents, and I didn't this time. Well, I did about 10.
Well, we were talking about that earlier, and how possibly inappropriate it might turn out.
Yes. Oops, nearly did it again.
Nearly did it. But listen, it's been great to see you again. Let's not leave it so long next time.
No, I will be back. I will be back.
I'll be back.
BayRadio.fm